Hey everybody, welcome to Last Minute AMA number 3. We're just going to do more unstructured, kind of a relaxed hangout. We have a couple questions we're going to address and just kind of catch up and see what everyone's up to. And without any further ado, gonna get into the chat.
It'll be next generation, it'll be good again. This generation has been a total.
So,
What's that picture?
Oh, baby. What the fuck?
What the fuck? Is someone like combing their hair on mic? Like,
Is that? Oh, so I have.
That's my beard.
Are you sure it was
beard?
Was it this sound right here?
yes, that was it.
Okay, that was me dusting off my fucking pants, man.
is that what the kids call it now?
It definitely didn't sound like that.
So,
Getting off.
So if you want to know why, it's because I'm using a shit ass webcam mic. Sorry for you guys. That sucks.
Mate, I'm using like.
Join the
some
Yeti
iPhone
Master
to take
Race.
that.
I want to, man. I really do. Those things seem like they're incredible.
So, I think for this AMA, instead of jumping right into questions, I guess we can go by and everyone say what you bought this week as far as hardware.
Wait, let me start.
Um.
Start again.
Oh.
Oh, I was just saying for this AMA number 3, instead of starting straight into questions, we'll start and just go around and everyone can say what they bought for hardware, or whether it's computers or
first.
cars
Name's on
or
top.
yeah.
So yeah, I bought Lindsay. I bought Mrs. Peer a graphics card, and then I also bought a 1 terabyte SSD, which Walmart actually honored, sent it, and I picked it up yesterday.
The SSD scandal.
There are
That went
860
on for a
EVOs,
long
right?
time.
Yeah. I canceled my order of 2 of them. I figured I'd rather a 2 terabyte straight up than 2 1 terabytes.
They already told me that they were only going to honor 1, so
That's rough. All right, Eagle, did you buy anything? New house or anything like that?
No, I thought about buying one of those 1 terabytes, and then I was like, I should keep this money for moving. I almost did.
Sounds like you might have been onto a winner.
Hey, Eagle, is your wife single?
No.
Okay, just thought I'd ask. Faultline, you buy anything fun?
You can't keep doing this.
The madman, he can't keep getting away with it.
Faultline bought Velcro.
Oh wait, is he still at Home Depot?
I'm getting out of my car.
I don't know.
Okay, what are you about to buy? I guess it's better.
Oh Jesus.
parking lot.
Depending on whether or not my wiring system can handle it, I might be buying the farm.
Wait, has anyone gone to Toys R Us to see if they're liquidating their IT stuff yet?
Oh! Wait, I didn't buy
Somebody
something,
mentioned that.
but I did get some hardware today, actually.
What'd you get?
I got 2 UPSs from work that they were throwing out because the batteries aren't any good, but they're just fine.
Are they just like out of warranty or something?
Basically, they decided to switch to surge protectors only for some dumbass reason on the workstation PCs, and so
not
they were going to
UPSs?
recycle them. Yeah,
I'm
not
not gonna lie.
UPSs.
That's how I got 3 of my UPSs. They were like, "Oh, they're bad. We're just gonna throw them out."
And I was like, oh, you're just going to throw those out? Well, these are going to go into my trunk. Okay, cool.
I'll throw them out for you.
So I didn't buy anything, but I did get UPSs today.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right. Jaywire, anything?
Whole mess of stuff. I got a X9 DRI, a pair of E5 2630s, a quiet power supply for it, one of those 720 watt ones, and 64 gigs of RAM for that board. Then
Is it going to a
Mavic
3U
Air.
or what?
Yeah, it's going in that 836. Those ones, the co-raids, well, they're super micros, but
Oh, yeah.
I bought those one. I bought 2 of them for some reason last year.
Wait, did you get the one with the really nice trays? Like you know what I mean, the co-raids that have like their own kind of trays. They're not the super micro trays.
What model was it?
No, they're the 836 TQ. Actually, let me look in my eBay history. 2017.
So I'm gonna put
I bought
this.
2 of them for some reason. Co-raid SR 1621. I bought it in October of last year. I bought 2 of them.
Co-raid has these really sick looking hard drive trays, and I'll post them in live stream chat, wherever that is. Jesus.
I'm googling at the same time.
It's basically the same thing as almost the same thing as the Super Micro 836.
No, it is the same thing. It's just rebranded for co-raid. But they have these like sick looking hard drive trays, and I want them so bad, but they're so expensive. Functionally, they're exactly the same as. Yeah, a lot of 12 is $50.
Holy smokes!
Is that the pic you posted?
Yeah,
Those are pretty nice looking.
I mean they're better than the super micro ones that look like doo-doo garbage.
Only if you actually look at your server,
Ooh.
though.
Those are a little sexy.
Yeah, I got 2 of those sitting in my spare bedroom, just kind of chilling there. Yeah, it's the same thing as that. It's got those sweet looking.
Oh my god, that's not fair. Dude,
Well, I remember I made a ridiculous offer. I paid 110 for the pair, and then it was like $90 shipping.
oh my god.
Swear
I need to set an eBay alert for co-raid stuff.
But I ended up buying 2 of them for some. I don't know why. I think I was on a kick because I had just joined the channel or the server and
Mm.
and started. I have like 3 or 4 X8 boards laying around, and but
So the X9 DRI, is that ATX?
that's the extended ATX or enhanced, whatever you want to call it.
Well, is it regular eATX or is it?
It's the same one that's in the 3U build thread.
Okay, so it's the.
The LM4.
Gigantic one.
Yes,
That's right.
it should fit perfectly into that co-raid
Yep,
case.
it does, because that's exactly what I'm using.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get that build up at some point, and then transition everything over to that.
Nice.
Pretty seamless move with Unraid.
Yeah, it should be pretty easy. Alright. Who else? Who else bought something fun?
I didn't buy anything this week.
The bot pinged everyone. I love it.
What the fuck, bot?
You what now?
The pot did it, everyone.
Are you. Wait, what? Why?
I'm guessing you did it.
You should kick that guy, man.
What the Jesus.
Good job.
I didn't know he could do that. Okay.
He has admin rights. Bots are taking over.
It's the bot's fault. I didn't everyone ping.
Well, you bought what? 90% of a rifle last week?
That was a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
And it'll probably 90% of a rifle for like a couple years.
Yeah.
That's what we call
Then
a
I bought
slow
some
burn.
mags and some ammo. America.
Yeah, there was a deal for 31 round Glock mags, 5 mags, and I think it was either 100 or 200 rounds of 9mm for like $99. Very
that's
very
nice.
tempted.
If I had a Glock.
Well, it works in my 9mm AR.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. T-Boy, you buy anything? Is he gone? He's gone. Okay. Oh, there you are.
I was muted. Fucking shit, dude. So I was trying to ask you, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, okay, I guess he's not gonna answer me.
No one can hear me. No one can hear my comments.
I'm like, what do you mean 90% of a rifle?
Everything except for the serialized part, which you have to go to a gun store to buy. You can buy the rest of it online.
Yeah,
It's the lower receiver.
I got you. I sold all my rifles. Dude. I don't even have any anymore. I've only got fucking handguns.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
I have lots.
Suck.
Yeah, I sold a VZ58 and a Rock River AR-15.
You sold one of the AK, not an AKs?
Yeah, Czechoslovakian version of AK.
Yeah. The VZ58 is so weird. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. So the only difference is that
Doesn't use
the
AK mags.
No, it can. It's really stupid, right? So if you had AK, you cannot use the VZ mags, but you can use AK mags in the VZ.
Huh.
Because the VZ mags have this like little extra piece that sticks out on the inside that will not fit into the receiving end on the AK, which is really weird. I don't know why they did it like that. It's really silly.
What about you, Vert? You buy anything?
Nah. Bought a game, Far Cry, which I've been really enjoying so far, but that's about it.
Oh, you know what was really interesting though? Whenever I did sell that, like the weapons shop, they said that, oh, we don't know if we're gonna be able to sell this because it has all this aftermarket like stocks on it and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that, like
actually a
tags and shit.
922R.
And I'm like, dude, you're not gonna have a problem selling this.
No. Like legally, they're probably more concerned about it than because there's something called 922R, which means that like a certain percentage of parts on an imported rifle need to be made in the United States or something like that. It's
I believe it's 70%.
no. It's definitely like 20 or 30%, right?
Oh, I was thinking of it. Never mind.
Like, because
Anyway.
if you change the stock or if you change the magazine on an SKS or something like that, it's, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's really
Way off
freaking weird.
topic.
Yeah.
But anyway, what ended up happening was, like, I conned him into getting as much as I could out of it. You know, I'm like, dude, look, like, I promise you, there's no way you're gonna have a problem selling this. And he's like, I don't know, man, like, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, well, we'll come to a middle ground then, you know. So, I ended up getting screwed a little bit, but I sold that to him and bought a XD45 subcompact, right?
Mm.
And you know what's funny is the next day he sold that rifle.
Yep.
It's like car sales; they'll say anything.
Yep. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with that too much with computers.
Hold on. Sorry, I was talking to somebody.
Hmm?
But yeah,
Could
They,
you imagine
they
if we
sold
had to
it the
buy
next day.
computers that way?
Oh my god.
It'd be awful.
It's like bad enough as it is sometimes.
mhm. All right, I will be right back in a moment, guys. I gotta go deal with something. One sec.
Okay. I'm just gonna take a quick read through on the subreddit. There's a post that says anything better than pre-built, and it's a link to an Optiplex 9020 with an i7 4770, and I'll post a link
That's a decent little
in live
machine.
stream. Yeah, it's not bad. It just seems like you could get a little bit more for your money with one of the workstations, and then you're stuck using expensive RAM. You can't use registered ECC.
Yeah, it's just under 10K pass mark. 4 cores, 8 threads.
But that's the max you can have in that socket is 4 cores, 8
Exactly.
threads. So you're
I
kind
suppose
of...
it depends on his use case there. If he's just wanting it, it's going to last the next 3 years, say.
Well, the other thing is it probably only has one hard drive bay. So you're kind of stuck with that.
But then I suppose for something like Plex, it wouldn't necessarily matter too much there.
Yeah, like if you have a NAS or something, it should be fine.
Oh, totally.
Or even just abuse the USB.
Yeah, that's true.
I did that for a couple years.
Like, abuse it. I've got to go out the hub and he's
Gotta start somewhere.
plugging all my drives.
I still do not recommend USB drives.
No. Yeah, but for my money, I definitely wouldn't spend it that way. I'd go for something like a T3600, T5600, something like that.
He just locks you in too much.
I
Yeah.
understand the pre-build for a sense of I don't have to do anything.
Well, I was actually recommending another pre-build over this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, it's still a Dell. It's just a workstation Dell where you can really upgrade it a lot more, and they're not much more expensive or even really more expensive at all. I mean, it's just this is got the fastest processor you can get in it, and that's it. So you're kind of if you want to do more, you're kind of stuck. Let's see anything else. Guy asked a question: X8 DTI-F, which is dual socket 1366 with ATX, would a Cooler Master Evo 212 fit? Yes, with modification, but you might as well use Arctic cooling heatsinks because they'll fit right out of the box and they work great and they're very cheap. Manbear, you want to take the first question on the list? I think you and I are the only people that have the list.
Yeah, you can share if anybody else wants it.
Yeah.
Can I has this?
I'm pasting it.
Hopefully they should be able to see it.
Oh.
Anyways,
I'm sure I had one of my accounts that had access.
Let's see. Try this.
There we go.
server perks versus regular desktop PCs, pros, cons.
Who's taking it? Go for it. Somebody start.
So it's not so much a better in a sense. It's more of a longevity thing. So server components are built with higher quality components, usually resistors, capacitors, all of that sort of stuff, where they're designed to last that much longer. So a computer's necessary lifespan is, say, 5 years. You're going to buy a computer, it's going to last you roughly 5 years before you sort of get that feeling of it's a bit crap. Whereas servers go into a production line for closer to like 15 years, especially if they're going to be like security servers and things like that. They're going to go into circulation for a long time, so the components are made to last that much longer. You're not going to have life issues with it so much.
Which is why we have higher confidence recommending used server parts over.
And they've proven themselves. Usually, they've been well used for quite a few years, and they last for quite a few years longer.
Yeah, if something were to break, then it probably would have broken already.
And when they came out, they were much higher end than the current consumer CPUs and
there's
motherboards.
there's a huge amount of value because you're buying it used.
Yeah, I mean, have you looked at the retail price of an E5 2620 V1?
It's like thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous.
Let's see what the retail price was. No, the 2620 was between $360 and $410, but you could run dual, so at most that'd be $820 at retail.
I
But
was
that's
thinking like the whole system.
oh sure, yeah. I mean, just the CPU, like that's only a 6-core 12-thread with 2.5 turbo. So like if you got into one of the higher end stuff, like the 2660, I mean that's yep, that's $1,300. So I mean you can get dual $1,300 processors. You know, it's years later. It's 7 years later, just about. But the discontinuance of the E5 2660 wasn't until Q2 of 2015. And the architectures haven't changed a whole lot since then.
And I would say a lot of times Intel, they put their more advanced features and performance in the Xeons. So you're buying something that's a little better than what you can buy at the time for like a desktop.
Yeah, believe it or not, the gaming market is not the only market that Intel's, got their hands in. And it might seem like that from a consumer perspective, but it's really not.
I think gaming has just become the consumer perspective at the end of the day. Like, if you're going to go out and spend the same amount on a new motherboard, processor, RAM, graphics card, you might as well go for the gaming editions out of all of them, because you're going to get maybe a couple of extra pass mark out of it, but it's not going to cost you any extra.
Well, I mean, it's like you have different processors for different purposes, and
but the gaming would be what we would consider a general purpose processor, whereas something server side could be highly advanced in that sense, and not specifically.
Well, right, and like just now they're just getting into the 6-core CPUs on like the consumer parts, and I'm not talking like the prosumer, like where they had like the 7870XEs or whatever, like the really high, like $2,000 consumer CPUs. But I'm talking like the i7s just now got 6-core 12-thread. And, with a Xeon, you could have had 6-core 12-thread as far back as like what the X5650s, 5670s, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah. Let's see, X5650.
I refer to your knowledge.
Yeah, X56 was 6-core, 12-thread.
Yeah, so like it
back in Q1 of 2010.
Right.
So 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And a quarter.
But to this day, you still can't run dual i7s in a system. You have to run dual Xeons, and as good as the i7s get, I mean.
Well, I believe that the i7's reached a point at one time where they were effectively the Xeon, just with the multi-CPU disabled.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. They've always kind of done that. I mean, that's what happens when it's run on the same architecture and stuff. But
yeah, because Intel's biggest market is big company, so they do the Xeons for that, and then later on they convert them down to i7s, i5s.
Now, I actually have a question now. Running dual like CPUs, is the performance like noticeable with something like that?
it depends on the application.
Like, I'm just saying at all in any kind of application.
It's just like adding more cores. I mean, there's nothing magical about adding a second processor. You're just adding that many cores.
Multi-core architecture is just added to the pool of cores.
Yeah, because you remember JD when I bought this pre-built PC, how it came with the dual GPUs,
Yeah,
And-
so like that would be, if you're running a game or something, you might see like an 80% increase or something like that. But for gaming, you probably wouldn't see an increase. You might actually see a decrease in performance for
well, even with
dual
the
CPU.
GPUs, man, I will never do this again. Like the amount, like you're paying double for something that's only giving you a fraction, like a few, like higher.
Yeah,
than
I
what
mean
you
it's
normally have with
it's
one card.
it's not really the same with dual CPU because the CPUs we're talking about, they could be as low as $20 or $30 per CPU.
Right, yeah.
So
Didn't Max run that?
yeah, he still is, or he was, and then he got a stupid deal on a brand new PC. But yeah, but yeah, it's different, and it allows you to do other stuff, and
It
like
depends
stuff
on
in the
what you're doing.
background.
If you're running like Plex, it's going to take advantage of those extra cores. If you need more for streaming, transcoding.
Yeah, and plus if you want to do like multiple VMs and you want to assign multiple cores to multiple VMs, then it's like even if you have the newest i7, you're going to run out of cores really, really quickly.
Mhm.
Because the newest i7 right now only has 6 cores and 12 threads, where I've got a
These
16 thread or 16 core 32 thread system, and that's not even like near the highest.
These new CPUs are not cheap, dude.
No, they're not cheap either.
And
That's our point.
Well, not only their CPUs not cheap, the motherboards aren't cheap. They're not like too expensive, but
DDR4.
yeah, DDR4 RAM is like stupidly expensive. I mean, it's for 16 gig, it's well over what 150, I think. Does anyone know?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I mean,
something around there.
I built this gaming system I'm on right now. Let's see. A few months before I discovered JDM's stuff on the Plex Reddit. And then when I discovered that, I was like, well, shit, I should have just sold all of this and been able to build twice the machine for the same amount of money that I spent on the Kaby Lake processor and the DDR4 and all that shit.
But
Yeah, I mean-
at least you know now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's better knowing that you made the mistake than not knowing, right?
Yeah, I
Doing
mean,
it anyway? Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I still game on an i7 with DDR4 because it is straight up better for gaming. That said, if I were maybe a little bit more casual about my gaming and a little bit more budget oriented, I would definitely go the used Xeon route because you get so much for your money, and yeah, it's just the way to go.
I mean, if I wasn't gaming, like, I would... Yeah, I'd probably just sell this stuff in a heartbeat because
I've never even heard of that
Xeon
process.
would be so much better.
But I mean, even so, like my home theater PC, I play 4K games on that with an 8-core Xeon, and it works great. I love it. But
Well,
I
guess-
think the only time I've really run into an issue is pushing higher frame rates, like 144.
I think really it's just I'm too lazy to not keep this one.
It's built already. It's set up,
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Other.
want to call in.
Yeah.
Want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Pull them in.
Oh, he got to step away now. Never mind.
Okay. Other things you can do with servers that you can't, well, maybe you can't do, but don't really apply to regular desktops. ECC memory is huge. It it takes care of errors for you. It lets you I think I have like 40 days or something of uptime on my server, and it's got like 192 gig of RAM. It's just been chugging along without a problem, and it just works great. I wouldn't feel that comfortable with a regular consumer system leaving it on that long.
That's something a lot of people don't think about. Those memory errors happen, and they happen more the longer you leave your computer on. So having that ECC RAM makes a huge difference.
Not only that, there's no
System stability.
real indication that it's happening.
Exactly.
it just kind of happens. You don't really know about it, and then
You find out later when your data's corrupted.
yeah, either your data's corrupted or you're like, why isn't this application starting, or why is it acting weird?
To be fair, on that note, though,
To be fair.
Oh hey,
To be fair,
server OSs are built a lot sturdier than like a consumer OS.
yeah, we were just talking more about servers versus regular desktops, and I guess that's including software too.
I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of software agnostic though for the ECC RAM. It's just going to do better at the hardware level.
Yes.
No matter what software is.
Yeah,
involved.
it's more like setting yourself up for success. So it's, things are possible on regular hardware, and I'm sure it'll work fine for most people. But in the long term, is that going to be the best solution for you, or is that going to let you expand? Is that going to be powerful enough? Things like that.
okay, Colin coming in.
Howdy.
My Yusuf,
What's up?
What's up?
what you got?
Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Let me shut off the Discord so I can hear you guys. Double time. Can y'all hear me?
Are you Are you listening
Yeah,
through
okay.
Twitch, or are you listening through Discord?
Yeah, I'm listening to Discord now. I
Okay.
just shut off Twitch. I gotta
Okay,
step
good.
away here, but my question mainly was, I'm looking to get into this server stuff, this dual CPU stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for trying to build a virtualization machine, and I'm trying to understand which level of task mark I'd want, and what I could possibly get for around like $500 in terms of just CPU RAM. I have a bunch of hard drives that I can move out of other machines that I can use to build up the thing, but I'm kind of looking to see. I know that a couple of you guys have mentioned some pre-builds, but I'm trying to get a feel for how to judge what's good versus bad. I know how it goes with like gaming machines and whatnot. And I've figured that out over the years, but I'm mostly trying to get something up and running so that I can just get my servers for like when I'm doing deployments to production for work. I can kind of get them up and running in parity over here. Maybe have a build server for projects that I'm kind of doing.
So
I'm familiar with production server grade stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get it figured out.
I'm on the phone. Yeah, no, it's my work.
Mom, the meatloaf.
It's people at work.
Mom.
So if you've got $500,
Yeah.
I would immediately look to dual Xeon socket 2011 V1.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean that you need to pick a certain processor out of that board. I would just pick a pre-built that has that. So probably like a HP Z620 or Dell 25600. And
Gotcha, sir. So just in a specific pre-built with a specific board.
well, yeah. So you want a board that supports dual 2011 CPUs, because then really you can go from $20 processors, like dual $20 processors, all the way up to dual like $400 processors, and then
Snap. And what's the pass mark range on that?
anywhere from like 4,000 pass mark to like 30,000.
So
Damn.
above 10K doesn't even matter at that point anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dual
exactly.
You're not
dual
gonna care about your
2620s are 12 core, 24 thread. If I remember
But you could
right.
do like,
Those
like
are the cheap ones. Well, there's 2603s. Those are
there's the
ass.
E5 2637s, which are like even really cheap too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the cool thing here is that I just picked up just to upgrade my media box a Ryzen 5 2600, 6-core, 12 threads,
Yeah.
and it's nice. What do you guys think? Because I'm hearing all the same kind of numbers, and I'm like, is this just underpowered? Because it's 3 gigahertz clock speed, so it's pretty good.
Well, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier, where there's nothing wrong with Ryzen. AZ, you're saying something?
That's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Where
Holy-
Someone's echoing.
there's nothing wrong with
I'm gonna mute AZ, unless he self mutes. Okay. Yeah. So it's what we were talking about earlier. With 6 cores and 12 threads, you're gonna be pretty limited as like regardless of the clock speed, you can only throw so many VMs at that before you're just running into IO wait and things like that.
Gotcha. So with the dual CPUs, you can kind of get it going. And you have a bit more range.
Well, dual CPUs you could have up to dual 12 core with 24 threads each.
Gotcha. So that gives me a bit more range to grow in terms of VMs and stuff like that. Great.
That means a lot more VMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even have that much. I have dual 8 core, and I'm more than happy with like 7 or 8 VMs that I'm running.
What are you guys using for virtualization as the bottom piece? Like I've tried Unraid and I was like, this is painful, and I removed. And I'm pretty familiar with servers and stuff. And I was like,
I would say, I mean, Unraid's fine. Its virtualization is acceptable, but
yeah.
I would definitely use Docker more in Unraid than the VM side of things.
Gotcha.
FreeNAS is kind of the same way.
I personally use ESX.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I would jump on the ESXi train.
ESX is fine too. It's actually more than fine. It's
ESX
good.
is great. I found it to be a little overkill if you're only running like 1 or 2 VMs, but if you're running several, then yeah, it's.
Well,
choice.
Ideally, what I'd like to build is kind of like something where I could spin up like literally my production environment. So for work, I'm like part of like a team that built like a data pipeline, and we're dealing with like millions of data points every day. So basically, what I'd like to build is like a test bed for like servers. So I'd like to spin up, like it may not be needed, but I'd like to spin up like 4 API servers, 4 front end servers, and just have it like emulate what it's in production. So then I can test, like I can.
Along the lines of Docker.
That's way
Yeah.
different than what Unraid was built for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not.
And that requires
two-
that much configuration, then you're probably going to want to go with ESX.
I
because
mean-
it's more geared toward that.
Everyone knows that I'm a Hyper-V shill, but
Yeah.
you could do that
I
with
love
Hyper-V. Hyper-V is
Hyper-V
great.
on Windows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Windows guy.
Why not?
So I have that. I have one instance running currently on my media box here, which is running Windows, and
Yeah.
I have one Ubuntu instance running for tele and IPTV stuff, and it works great. But I just ran into so I moved drives the other day, and I ran into an issue when I tried to get that machine back and up and running. It was telling me that something wasn't running. It was Hyper-V, something underlying Hyper-V wasn't running, and I was like, this is crazy. I even had the hard drive sitting on my disk, and I couldn't get it booted back up, so I had to wipe it to start over.
Yeah, you should be careful playing around with stuff like that, moving drives. That's just something you got to learn with Hyper-V because it stores data in a bunch of different places. But
It was okay. The machine was up for like a couple of days. I just got Grafana up and running on it, had it configured like I wanted. It didn't take long to get it back up. It wasn't that big of a deal, but when it happened, I was like, because I never used Hyper-V prior to that, and I was like,
yeah,
okay,
sure.
well, this
Yeah,
thing
it's just like
works nice.
to me that just sounds like a learning thing, not like
Yeah.
like an inherent issue because I haven't had.
No, but
yeah.
I don't know it that well, so it's just kind of like in the back of my head going, do I want to use it going forward? Is all.
Mhm.
Right.
But I mean,
but
I guess really your options are kind of down to Hyper-V and ESXi.
Don't forget.
Yeah, so I'm not sure because ideally what I would like to have is a box where I can just basically it could be like a self-contained Amazon where I could just spin up machines at will with dedicated RAM, dedicated this, and then I could just have Ansible scripts that I go, okay, cool, spin up say 8 of these, so and a place for also to test all these Ansible scripts, right? So that's why I don't want to kind of go the Docker route because Docker they're all kind of self-contained, and once you kind of built it out, and it's fine, and then eventually when we move production over that, maybe do that. But I just want to get something maybe $500 where I can kind of have all the CPU power that I need, and then
Well, this
RAM,
this
so
would be
that it's done.
the cheapest way to do it for sure, because if you're gonna be spinning up that many virtual machines, it's gonna be really expensive to do that with DDR4.
Gotcha.
I mean, really, really expensive. I don't know if you've looked at the RAM prices that we.
Yeah, the media box that I bought was that, and it was on a tight budget, and the RAM just blew me away. I was like, this is crazy. So I had to scavenge a case, scavenge like some drives. Like I had to buy some RAM, and I was like, this is crap. So yeah, I know what you guys are saying about the DDR4 being super expensive. It was like
You're not gonna spin up a production server grade box for $500. I mean, you're not gonna be able to get your storage where you need it for $500.
Well,
let
I think he
alone
said.
Absolutely not.
I think
CPU and
earlier he
RAM.
said he had some drives just laying
I
around,
have
but
drives. I just really want like a good base with some memory and good CPUs to start off. Is with my and a board obviously to get it up and running.
so
Right? Everything else I can figure out and buy aftermarket, but
What-
it's mostly RAM, CPU, and motherboard that I'm really concerned.
what I would
Like,
do
full
is
enclosure
get
for
the
$500 bucks.
cheapest dual 6 cores you can get, or the cheapest dual 8 cores you can get, and then as much RAM as you can afford, and in a pre-built.
Just call it and be done with it. Yeah.
That's because
cool.
I think for if you're doing virtualization, you need many cores, and then you can decide, well, is 12 cores, 24 threads can be enough, or do I need 16 cores, 32 threads, and then just fill the rest with RAM?
Cool. Awesome. Well, I
Has
gotta
it-
go, but this is super useful.
Real quick
you're
before you
gonna
go,
say
has anyone
yeah.
here bought RAM recently that can give them a roundabout price?
I just bought.
Flat out refuse at this precise second.
I did, but I got a steal on it, so that's not going to happen again.
Well, just give them an example. So, like, what?
I got 4x8 gigabytes for $45, I think.
Yeah, so 32. Yeah,
What? DR3?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yo.
I got.
Like I said, that's not good. Probably not going to happen, but I got it.
But yeah, ballpark. Let's say up to 100. That'd be enough, right?
What do you mean?
Let's say if I was spending $100, I could probably get 32 gigs.
Oh, easily.
I got 8x8 for 134 of DDR3.
I got 8 by. Yeah, no, I got 8 16 gig sticks for $220.
What?
Yeah, that was nuts.
So hold on, those boxes that you were suggesting, they can hold up into 64 gigs of RAM?
I'm pretty sure they can hold a lot more if you use like 32 gig sticks.
Oh snap!
It depends on the board.
32.
It definitely depends on the board. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, well I'll come back later and chat with you guys with some more. I know that I'll try to track down some.
Yeah,
of these
we'll
things. I might just
we'll be here
go
for
grab-
about half an hour, and then of course we're gonna be here, all the time in chat. So
Yeah, chat and stuff. I'll try to hit you guys up. Thanks for everything, guys, and it's been fun being around here the last few days.
anytime, man.
Super awesome community.
All right, catch you later.
See you, man.
Take care, man.
Don't everybody talk at once.
So many people here.
Hi, how you doing?
There are a lot of
Still
people
we
here.
have these.
The fitness frame pacer test.
All right, so what's the? Oh wait, Ordnance, do you have something to say about the virtualization?
I just said, and don't forget Zen Server as well. Zen Server. That's what we use at work, and I was originally like just a really big ESXi guy, got a lot of VMware experience, and they've kind of converted me. Like since it is free, well, I guess somewhat free, a lot more freer than VMware is basically. But
I'll have to check that
I
out.
don't like it.
Well, I was I was gonna chat in, but there was a whole lot of people talking, and say as well that it really you can spin up all kinds of stuff but without any type of each instance uses 6 gigs of RAM, or there's a lot of variables in what he's saying. Because I can spin up all kinds of crazy Dockers that do nothing. Right? I could spin up 40 instances of transmission, but without any load on them, it's not going to take a whole lot.
Yeah, but I mean, without
So-
getting into the specifics of what he wanted or what he needed, I mean, if he's giving us that kind of direction, it's pretty cut and dry as what he needs to buy.
As well.
Yeah. Well, and he's worrying about stuff like what's the max amount of RAM. Well, if he's using this server grade type stuff that we recommend, it's going to be measured in hundreds of gigs, and he doesn't realize that yet.
Yeah,
You know,
especially when you have
need the right size RAM sticks to make that happen. But
yeah.
you can get something that's a gen older and have 300 possible gigs of RAM in there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not going to get that for $500.
No,
He's going
not
to get 2
necessarily.
CPUs, a motherboard, and maybe 64 gigs of RAM if he finds big bargains, you know, everywhere.
But still, that's I mean on
That's a really good starting
yeah
point.
on paper that's amazing for $500. Just like
Oh, I know, but I mean
Yeah.
that's that's the best he's going to get for that kind of money.
well, I
Right,
can already see him if he's got a media box that has a Ryzen 5 in it. I could see him getting this and being like, "Holy shit, I'm going to sell the Ryzen box and then either build another one or build this one out." But anyway, preferred OS. Oh god.
Yeah, we kind of covered server her software virtualization.
Virtualization.
Shut up.
Why doesn't everyone just go down and say their preferred OS and just like
For what?
a reason why?
For
what?
what though?
I've always kind of been a Windows guy, but I'm learning Ubuntu, and I think I'm going to try Unraid for my next build. So I'm kind of in the middle right now. I don't really have a preferred one. I have ones that I would like to use.
Word. AZ?
Like preferred for what? Like I just choose the right tool for the right job.
Hmm.
If I'm going to make a gaming machine, I'm not going to build a Linux box.
Mac OS, you mean? So you don't game on Mac OS?
No.
Am I the only one?
No, I.
Exclusively.
You know, the honestly, the only
Yourself out
thing
now.
keeping me from gaming on Mac OS is the built-in mouse acceleration that you cannot turn off.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, that's a good
There's
point.
a lot of things preventing me from gaming on Mac OS, and mainly the games I'm missing.
I don't really care. I mean, I'm a Linux admin by trade, but use the right tool for the right job. I'm not an OS snob.
Exactly, it's like
Yeah.
But you are an Unraid shill.
Because it
it's
does the
best
job.
fit for most people's needs that want Plex media servers.
That's true. Eagle?
Well, I mean, kind of same thing as AZ saying, but I mean, I use the right piece of software that works. I mean, right now I'm running a FreeNAS for my storage because it does exactly what I want it to do, not just for media, but for personal data and work data and that type of thing. Just like the integrity on that, and the aggregate speed on the drives. And then I'm gonna do, I do Windows for Plex and all that fun stuff. I'm gonna move towards a Windows server with Hyper-V running Ubuntu and Dockers, which is just kind of convoluted, but there's reasons for that. And then I run Mac on my laptop, so I just run around with that because it just does what I want it to do. So, like AZ was saying, I mean, I don't really care the platform. It's just a matter of what works best for what I'm doing.
Fault?
you live in the command line.
I actually prefer command line for anything that I care to do because I run all three systems at the same time at home at the very least, which is weird, and a lot of people don't, and I understand that, but that's how I roll at this point in my
Is not recommended.
yeah. If you want to make yourself insane, I highly recommend it.
It was the day I loved PowerShell.
Use
The day
Linux
they
too?
came out and
That's
they
your
put
primary
LS
browser?
as the command. And they made LS a real command. I was so thankful because now at least I can go to any command line and know I know at least one command.
Jaywire, you got anything to add?
I started with Unraid, but just recently spun up just a little ESX box just to play with, and at work do a lot of mostly just do Ubuntu server.
So I use Windows for the most part, but I virtualize, I don't know, whatever I want to play around with, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest. You could virtualize whatever you want. And then FreeNAS, because FreeNAS is awesome. But FreeNAS is also a huge pain in the ass sometimes, so...
Yep.
It just takes...
free, but there's a reason for it.
Well, yeah, but it just takes more planning, and there are some nice benefits to, like, consistent read and write speeds, no need for a cache, things like that. But, yeah, so anyway, Windows FreeNAS, and then I've got a MacBook, and I run pretty much Apple on my personal products, but production and gaming and stuff is Windows. Van Bear?
Oh, well, I'm a weird one. Got Windows running Plex and Unraid running a NAS, the DAS connected to it. I prefer Windows. I know little to nothing about Unraid, so I always talk to AZ if I run into problems.
Oh, and if you want to know more about Unraid, AZ and I had a very good chat, and it's on my YouTube channel somewhere.
Also, yes.
If you can find it, you're
I did
qualified.
listen to that.
Yeah, right. Yes.
It didn't cover everything I needed, but it's good. It's a good setup video.
Ordnance?
I run Windows for my gaming stuff, and I would like to switch that over to a different OS. Maybe run like Mac for my daily driver. I think it might be cool. But I've got a MacBook, run iPhones, Apple Watch. My NAS is on RAID. I've got an ES6i box. I've got a Zen server box. Running pfSense firewall.
So what don't you have?
As of right now, I don't have any Ubiquity equipment, but that will sort of change. It's on order.
Well, fuck.
Get ready to sell your PFSense box.
Pretty much.
Just start writing the listing right now.
No,
Yeah.
all
Yep.
I deploy at work is Ubiquity stuff, and it is nice. I will give you that, but the throughput, honestly, in the routers is terrible.
I don't believe you.
We have tons and
I
tons
have
of
read
issues
they
with
struggle with
VPNs.
gigabit.
Yep. They can't max out. A lot of them can't max out gigabit unless you get like.
You talking edge router or the gateway?
Let me pull it up. Hang on.
Anyway.
I've even read the gateway. The USG has trouble maxing gigabit.
Since you guys are all speaking another language I'm not familiar with.
I'll keep with my pfSense box as well. I forgot to mention that.
They're currently rolling gigabit out in my area, and that's why I've been on the fence between a USG or pfSense.
pfSense all the way?
Well, you could always just buy a USG on Amazon, and if it doesn't work, you could send it back.
I have a USG Pro 4 already, but I was gonna play
Or
with
sell it
both.
to somebody else on the forum. Pass it on.
Pawn shop.
Yeah, if I end up going pfSense, then absolutely, Fall Line has first dibs on the Pro 4.
Anyway,
Chip with a nice pfSense build, super cheap, super powerful. Eagle can contest.
Yep. I mean, that's part of the reason why I like pfSense is I can put it on my own hardware and change that hardware as I need to change things rather than having to buy a set pre-built box and then, oh, well, that doesn't have what I want, and I got to go get another box. This one I just add and move parts around as I want.
if
What do you
Ubiquity...
mean my USG doesn't come with 7 ports? Come on, I need 7 separate ports.
If Ubiquity came out with a like a software package and just like some basic Intel NIC drivers, I would pay literally hundreds of dollars for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's just really what it comes down to. But
Open source that Unify stack.
it doesn't even need to be open source. It can be closed source for all I care.
License it.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't need the source. Just make it available on x86 or whatever, or x64.
Sudo apt install Unify.
It's not the same. I mean, like, I'm talking like pfSense level. It needs to be,
Just like a Cole OS.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Their gateways are 64-bit stuff.
It's based off of iOS,
Yeah,
but that's not the Unify stack.
right.
Yeah.
All their edge runners are like ARM based, but
I don't see that as a selling point either. They're based off iOS.
Vi OS, not iOS.
Oh, that's all right then. My bad.
Yeah. Next.
Cheapest way to Plex high end.
Oh, jeez. Wait. Cheapest way to high end.
Those don't go together.
I'm not.
You build your first server and then you keep buying more stuff.
Are we talking server or are we talking client?
I think okay.
The
Here,
question was quote cheapest way to Plex.
from
then
start to finish,
quote,
I'm
high end.
gonna say something. From start to finish, it's build a dual CPU unraid box with a considerable amount of RAM, probably at least 64 gig, and run Plex and your data storage all in one box. That is going to be the cheapest way to have a high-end system.
Yep, that's the way I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I run a fairly high-end system with 32 gig of RAM.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but for me, high-end is, RAM plus whatever CPUs you want. So I guess 32 would be good. Really, Plex is only going to use 4.
I'm
So-
using, 16 of it for transcodes, and I have a fair amount of traffic, and
You have
rarely
a lot of traffic.
rarely do I hit 75% of my RAM used on the block. So
Well, that's the other thing you and I talked about in our unready conversation was that it's probably better to max out your RAM before doing like a cache disk, right?
Oh, if you've got the option and you've got spare RAM, I would definitely use it for the transcode. I mean, I wouldn't just buy the RAM with the intention of just using it for transcode if you already have an SSD. You're going to get a little bit more performance out of it, but it's very minor.
I didn't mean for transcode. I mean for unraid still prioritizes RAM over the cache disk.
For writes and whatnot, yeah, sure.
Can confirm.
Well, that's what I was getting at with saying that you should get more. Like, you should get 64 gig or, 96 or 128, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you can afford.
Yep.
Certainly going to use it.
Unraid currently has 52 gigs cached for me.
Wow. That's nuts.
Out of
FreeNAS doesn't give
64?
Yeah, well,
very good metrics on that, unfortunately.
FreeNAS gobbles the same shit up as well, so FreeNAS does the exact same thing.
For sure it does, but Unraid does like a tiering thing kind of a lot easier than like FreeNAS. You can have like an L2 ARC and a ZIL, but it's not the same as like just clicking a button and clicking add cache drive,
No,
You can do it in server 2012 R2, but it's really hard to do. Like strict requirements.
But let's be honest, ZFS in FreeNAS is a way different tool set than what Unraid provides.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why I was saying I was getting at like the cheapest way to have a high-end Plex experience, like as far as servers go, which is I'm assuming what this question is asking, would be Unraid with dual CPUs, whatever you can afford, and as much RAM as you can afford, and then throw drives at it until you can't fit anymore, or you run out of room in Unraid.
Unraid is great for good read performance, which what a good media server is. As soon as you start needing high-end write performance, it's going to take a shit. So you either need to have cache drives or unassigned drives that are going to be utilized as writing disks, so you're not trying to write to the array.
Yep.
Because as soon as you start doing that, you're going to have a bad time.
I like that way of putting it.
Any CPU advice beyond raw pass mark scores? TDP does not mean,
Putting it in.
huh?
It fits the motherboard you're putting it.
I was gonna say TDP has something to do with power usage, but is not always an indicator, because sometimes a 130 watt power processor will idle and sit there and take 10 watts, and then other times a different 130 watt processor will take 200 watts at the socket. So there's a little bit more complexity to that. Anything else, Tad?
Oh my god.
What can we do to
TDP
eradicate
is not
the
the
weeb culture?
Huh? TDP is not what?
it's just saying TDP is not the be all end all. Like
Oh, hey.
some make it out to be. And hey, I'm here.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, hello.
Snuck in like a thief in the night.
Is it me you're looking for?
I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Intel Arc. If you're looking for a certain processor, look at the passmark scores. Figure out how many cores you want. If you're going to be doing a lot of VMs and stuff, if you're going to be doing things that are clock speed sensitive, they do make Xeons that are higher clock speed, but usually they're more expensive, or they have fewer cores, or both. If you want an 8-core that's high clock speed, be ready to pay for it.
Don't buy engineering samples.
Yeah.
No.
There's never a guarantee
Yeah.
on those. You don't know what they're going to do.
Do
You
not
don't know
do
what
that.
they have done.
You don't know if they have all the feature set that they're supposed to have.
Exactly.
That's the Forrest Gump box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I mean, if you're willing to try and you get a good deal, like, go for it. If the seller has a return policy, feel free. But it's not worth it when the regular ones are cheap enough as it is. Just say don't be greedy with that. I'm gonna.
Oh,
Let's do the tips and tricks related to server builds, and then we can end on that.
Sure.
Double check your parts list before you order. Then triple check your parts list before you order. Then
Then
phone a
ask
friend
us.
and ask them to double check.
And
your
show
order.
us your parts list.
Hashtag
order.
hardware channel, please.
Yeah.
Hashtag build it outside the fucking box.
Jesus, yes.
Check your standoff locations.
It's funny. We actually haven't been having as much of that lately, and I wonder if that's just because of the pre-builts.
I think that's probably a fair correlation to make.
And also,
Could
when you
be.
initially boot,
What
if
are you going to
s-
do when
boot
somebody
outside the
buys a
box,
pre-built and they take it apart and they put it together outside of the box and they go, okay, it works.
That sounds like
I'm
due
going to give
diligence
them an
right there.
attaboy. That's what I'm going to give them.
That's a
I
fucking
might
gold
actually
star.
make a meme of just that person, followed the instructions.
You followed instructions too well.
I guess it would be a good learning opportunity.
He
Okay,
gets the
if
golden
you-
potato award.
You'll notice we don't have a role followed instructions. There's a
That's
reason.
that's
for
like
that.
a malicious compliance sort of thing.
So if you buy a pre-built, start it first, and then take it apart.
While it's
Make sure
running.
it works.
Well, yeah, because
Turn it
actually
on
that's
first.
Turn it off first.
that's
God
fair.
damn it.
That's fair advice, because a lot of people that are buying pre-built are buying upgraded processors and RAM. So like, when you get the pre-built, turn it on and make sure it works first before you start changing parts.
Right.
Huh.
And don't get a microfiber anywhere near your CPU socket.
Oh, God.
Are you eating your microphone?
That's remnants of vape smoke, my friend.
I heard it. I knew that's what it was.
Yeah.
Stop later.
It was either that or you were. Yeah.
Or
You were
He's got
literally
that
eating
Yeti
my God.
The bag of dicks.
Yeah, it was between vape smoke and a bag of dicks, and I just didn't know.
They sound the same.
I mean, one of them would have been right.
But now I can picture the audible on it.
Any other generic server advice? Oh, read the spec sheets. Spec sheets are your friend.
yes.
Don't
Buy
get
what
a
you
massive
need.
board and try to stick it into an ATX case.
Trying to match RAM manufacturers to see if they're compatible. Things of
Buy
that
what you-
nature.
Buy what you need, not what you think you'll need in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, buy something that you can expand if you're really interested in building up. I mean, don't
Yeah.
buy something that's maxed out and then be dissatisfied.
I think the
'Cause
foundation of that is just buy a good motherboard.
Yep.
And buy a good pre-built, and then
Yep.
And be honest with yourself. You know, if you know that you're really not going to be expanding in the next couple of years, just buy what you need with the option to be able to grow it a little bit.
Has anyone else besides me been on the downgrade train, or am I the only one?
I would say that I've been working more towards consolidating at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, that's fair.
it's upgrading my life, my network, but it's reducing the number of individual units that are running things.
He's reducing his footprint. He's going green.
Well, and I mean,
Goddamn
switching more things
hippies.
Bitch.
to Docker is switching more things to VMs that one machine can run or two machines can run, rather than, oh, I have something doing this, I have something doing that, I have something doing that.
Yeah, the initial desire to expand laterally versus what I would say vertically it's real, but then reality will set in very quickly, and you'll be like, okay, I don't need all this.
Well,
Why
that's
do
where
I
I'm
need
at.
a 42U rack?
Hey, I had one for a while.
Well, and see, that's where I'm at right now because I'm trying to plan out for the future what I need. So I'm trying to do the least amount of machines possible, but still give myself the room to separate it out how I want it to function without going crazy and saying, oh, I need a machine for this and a machine for that and a machine for that.
Well, I'd honestly rather have 2 or 3 units that can virtualize and one NAS unit than 5 or 6 kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to do.
So you can do a whole lot with virtual networking that you don't need to do with physical networking.
I mean, I'm basically down to 2 boxes. I guess it's 3 physical boxes, but one's a DAS that doesn't really count. And then I got my NAS, which my NAS doesn't do anything outside of serve files. And then I've got my main server, and that's it. I mean, I don't want more because it's one more thing I got to worry about, one more thing I got to manage, and
It needs a UPS.
and I'd rather change the processors than what I have to give it more capacity than add another box.
Absolutely.
But like I said earlier, I'm on the downgrade train. I started with dual E5 2687Ws, which were 3.5 gigahertz or up to 3.8 gigahertz, 8 cores. Then I went down to 2670s. Now I'm down to 2650s, and I'm pretty comfortable at 2650s. But I've even been considering going down to 2650Ls or regular 2630s because I feel like it's just sitting there idle most of the time. Even with all the stuff I'm running, they're very, very capable. So they're not very expensive.
Does that not interest you in running more stuff?
I'm running a lot of stuff. I'm actually using
Still, could I interest you in running more?
I'm using 180 gig of the 192 gig of RAM that I have.
Sir, can I interest you in some software?
How much are you running?
Step right this way.
Like 180 out of the 192 gig of RAM in the one
So
server.
you're using quite a bit of it then.
Yeah, I'm using most of the RAM, but the processing power is not always doing something. So
Right.
it's, you know.
So what you're saying is you have plenty of room to colo.
I don't want to trust like $8,000 in hard drives. Colo.
No, I'm saying you have plenty of room to start coloing.
Oh, I don't have a 42 rack. I don't have a 42U anymore. I have a 25.
How much do you charge per square foot?
All of you, fuck off.
How much per rack do you have? I need 2 network drops.
I don't have gigabit. When I have gigabit, I'll talk about it, but I don't have gigabit.
I've got gigabit, and I had a friend ask me to colo, and I'm like, no.
How much are you going to affect me?
I've been trying to find a data center around here that'll let me put like a 3U in, and there's very few, if any.
Most won't
They'll
let you
just
go
let you-
below like a half rack. And a lot of them don't want to even bother below like a full rack.
Yeah,
What is that-
even
what
in
does
the
that
data
even
center I
cost?
work at, they won't let us do it.
You got to become a reseller to be able to afford your 3U.
Well, like if you want to, like a lot of ISPs, like I used to work for Ubiquity Hosting, no relation to the network, and you could get a box from them, but they didn't want to colo your equipment. Like you could rent their equipment from them, but they didn't want to.
More money.
Right, they didn't want to rent you the data center space, unless you were going to do like a full.
No relation.
Yeah.
Principal vagina. All right.
Because
Well,
at the end of the day, if there's a server, it makes more money.
Yeah.
anyway, on that note, I'm gonna cut this one a little short. But let's remember. Can you save these questions for the next one?
Yeah, of
Maybe we'll
course.
do like another one at the end of the week or something like that.
I have a really quick question, really quick. So kind of what I was getting at before with my other question, that it's okay, it went unanswered, but
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
well, it wasn't spoken. I kind of threw it into a content request, but it's not a big deal. But what I was really kind of getting at is, when are we going to see your next build?
What do you mean, as far as like a guide or what?
A guide, or I mean anything really.
I don't know. I've been trying to figure out what to do for the next guide, and I feel like I've kind of covered a lot of good stuff. Did you
Some
have
can
like
be
an?
updated, but it all depends on the prices.
Oh God! Somebody just asked if there was an answer to the "Can I build a Ryzen server" meme.
That's not what I was getting at.
I don't know. Alan, what did you like? Did you have something in mind,
No,
Alan?
I was just curious what direction you're going next, and I mean we covered a lot of things, so I have a hard time in my mind kind of picturing what's coming next, but just curious.
Downgrading.
Downgrade.
Yeah, I might be. I've been thinking about doing a lot of different.
My Ryzen server.
I've been thinking about doing a lot of different stuff for videos. It's more of. Been thinking about like more of like maintenance and quality of life stuff, and how to make minor improvements here and there. And
Would you be interested in doing something like a workstation build rather than a server type build?
yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't build it myself. Like I don't have the need for it, and I don't really want to drop almost $1,000 on something like that. But I could probably build one out. And
Right, because I'm just thinking something like a RAID 0 to SSDs or something like that, or
$5 a ticket, we get 500 people there.
Wait, did JDM just say he doesn't want to spend money?
No.
He just spends my money.
JDM
as he just
spends
talked about downgrading through 4 generations of CPUs.
JDM spends plenty of money. It changes on what, like I change what I'm spending my money on.
I'm gonna wait for like tomorrow where there's gonna be like a deal on ammo and like a site or something, and he's gonna spend like $2,000.
Does ammo come in RGB? I don't remember.
Oh my god.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Life finds a way.
RGB
Alternate-
tracers.
Yeah, alternating tracer rounds loaded into a clip.
Oh god.
Clear magazines, like
That could be a
like Game
whole
Boys.
A whole different kind of film video.
Life finds a way.
And with that, I think we should end this.
All right. Well,
Cheers.
this is the most people we've ever had in here. It was awesome having everyone here.
I'm gonna play golf it. Come on.
Yeah, we'll go play golf and PUBG and
Stream
Stuff.
is ended.
all right.
PUBG's down for maintenance in like 20 minutes.
I'll catch you guys when I get home.
Really awesome battle
It's just
simulator.
enough time to get 2 games in and die immediately.
What do you mean?
Just
that
enough
sounds
time
like,
to play golf.
Or a shit ton of people in golf it.
that sounds
Yeah.
like 5 matches for Eagle. I don't know. what
We've
you're
never had more than like
Shit,
5
fuck
people in golf it. I don't think. Maybe 6.
I think
Come on,
that's
Alan.
talking- No, there was an update recently that made it like unlimited people. I thought in golf.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
So
That sounds like a travesty.
Manbear Pig would still finish in last, so this
Sounds like a challenge.
Hey, I'll see you guys when I get home. I'll be on
Yeah.
when I get home. All right. See ya.
Hey,
all right,
Jay
take it easy,
Wire.
man.